Hello everybody, welcome to the Wonder Year podcast. I'm joined as ever by Riggsy, the producer stroke co-host of the podcast.
He didn't say his name is Paddy Raff.
Did I not say my name?
No, he doesn't like to say his own name too much.
Yeah,
because...
I'm very self-deprecating,
yes.
won't even say my name. This week's podcast is with Holly Hamilton. You will know Holly Hamilton as a BBC breakfast presenter. She also presents the sport on BBC. Does she do other stuff outside of sport?
She does loads of stuff, yeah. She's just a versatile presenter, as one must be.
She hosted actually the Live at the Waterfront gig that we did for the essential workers in
And I love the doc that she did. I mean, I would, and this is sport, but she did a doc about Glentoran winning the first European club trophy.
That's
well,
right.
That bit's debatable, but if you watch it, you'll see what I mean. In 1914, they kind of went on a tour to Vienna.
Yep.
A load of kind of guys who worked in the shipyard, and she tells that story beautifully. You can check that out on the BBC iPlayer.
Yes, she doesn't tell that story in the podcast though, but that's on BBC iPlayer. She tells that story.
You'll soon start to learn that in this podcast we don't talk very much about what the actual guests do.
No, yeah.
So if you're tuning in going
anything, they might be a wee bit sort of put out by that, but no. Yeah. So basically, really with Holly's Wonder Year is 2004. She wanted to go back to. Again, I just assumed everybody's going to go for 90s and stuff, but I suppose that's close enough. But yeah, 2004 was the year that Holly kind of fled the nest and went to university in Dundee, which she describes as it was listed as the best student experience by the Times. I thought that would have been the kiss of death for any university.
And when she talks about it, it really doesn't sound like it was the best student experience. I would also like to point out that during this podcast, you will learn not only Holly, but yourself, Paddy, how unbelievably not rock and roll you were. You talk about, and not spoil it, but you talk about some stuff as if it's really mad. Some of the mad stuff you did at uni, and I'm kind of going,
it's really normal.
It's not even that it's really normal. It's really like, it's like a Tuesday afternoon for most people. But it's quite sweet,
Yeah. Well, okay. Well, you listen to yourself and be the judge of whether or not you think that me and Holly were cool. Shout out for the sponsors, of course, before we get into the podcast, who are Victoria Square, Riggsy's favourite people.
Yeah, Victoria Square in Belfast, of course. Great selection of your kind of day-to-day shops that you're with all your essentials. But then you've got your House of Fraser, you've got your All Saints, you've got your River Island. Great selection of restaurants. This is from the heart, by the way. I really feel like I'm being cynical by saying this, but I genuinely do love it.
Anytime we mention the sponsor, I know that I don't even have to think of something to say because Riggsy will just sort of wax.
Well, I like going to Wagamama. I love Five Guys. Very expensive, but it's worth it. It's such a treat going to Five Guys. And they have gift cards as well, which we want to shout out. Anybody who is, you always say that they're maybe not very good at buying presents. I say they're maybe being a little bit lazy, but who doesn't like a gift card at the end of the day? Victoria Square gift card is not just House of Fraser, it's absolutely everything, including the movies.
I'm one of those people, though, who when you get a gift card, I leave it in my wallet for so long that it expires. Do you ever do that? How annoying is that? Like £100 gift card for somewhere and then you go back.
That happened to me this morning when I discovered...
Yours expired this morning? Or
I discovered this morning. We were discussing going on holiday and I said, we'll use all these vouchers and treat ourselves to a night out. They're like, those Belfast meal, not meal vouchers. They look like money, but they use them in restaurants.
Are you trying to use Monopoly money or something?
No. These are, I got these as a gift, and then this morning dug them out, and they were like a year out of date.
Oh, Jesus.
So I'm hoping to maybe...
It wasn't the £100 thing that you got from the government. Everybody got £100 to spend.
No, I spent that on a Christmas present for my wife.
Oh, right.
I bought an Xbox which has been played once.
I was really surprised about all the places you could spend that. And I was like, if we had strip bars, could you imagine going into a strip bar and putting your £100 voucher in the G-string of a stripper? That's just
whatever gets you through
but we don't have them anyway.
The pandemic.
But yep, so Victoria Square are the sponsors of the podcast, and also quick shout out to Off the Wall who've done the sign on the wall again. Just think it's amazing looking if you're watching the video version. But look, we'll not keep you any longer. Here is Holly Hamilton's episode of the Wonder Year, and her Wonder Year is 2004.
Do you know, I'm a bit nervous about talking about 2004 because it was such a big year for me. It was the year I left school. It was the year I started university.
You went to Dundee, didn't
Went
you?
to Dundee,
So I
yeah.
know
Went
that.
all the way across the water to the big smoke.
What did you go to do over there?
I went to do politics, would you believe? Politics and French.
You left the hub of politics to go
Yeah, I just...
and watch from afar.
Yeah, exactly. Just over there with a big
Over the
telescope,
fence.
thinking, yeah, just keep a safe distance.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was a mad year because, you know, when you start thinking about it, just how much you do in that 1 year.
Mhm.
You know, as a grown up now, I mean, that one part of that would be enough.
Yeah.
You know, but you think leaving school, everything that's involved with that, and then you go to university, and it's such a change, especially when you move out.
Do you not think when you have kids that you like with the thought of your kid just up in sticks and moving? I would never be able to cope.
It completely, and it's something I never appreciated until I did have a child, and that was the hardest part for me moving out. My mum and dad drove me, as you can imagine, over to Scotland, packed up the car full of everything I owned, cuddly toys, duvets, the whole lot. Took me over to my new student digs, and I tell you what, see students now, they do not know they're born. My student flat in first year, it was an old mill. I'm pretty sure it's demolished by now. It was an old mill. I think it was like 10 floors up to our apartment. Do you know what it reminds me of now? You know when you watch TV series and docs about prisons? It's exactly like that. Like we had a cell that was like in the side of this building. I mean, you think now the students have all got en suites and these brand new kitchens.
You're banged up abroad.
So all it was literally, that's what it felt like. But tell you what, see, for me, it was the greatest place on earth.
You loved it.
I got there and I was so excited. And just mentioning like being a parent now, my mum and dad's face, and it was called Tay Mills on Brown Street. It just paints a
Sounds
picture.
lovely.
It sounds gorgeous. They turned up there and they went, "No, there's been a mistake. We can't leave you here. There's no way." Nope. Off you go. Well, leave me to it. I'm absolutely fine. Took me into my cell. No windows, just to be clear. I mean, this literally was like a prison.
Really?
No windows. There were five
Wow.
five girls in this one apartment. Five. I mean, I've never met them, obviously. One bathroom between us. There was no living room. There was just like a kitchen. I remember one time we would drag the mattress into the kitchen to watch somebody's TV. And I thought this was brilliant. This
You
was
loved
super.
it then.
I saw my little cell and I thought, I'm just going to cover it in my posters and bring in my cuddly toys. Even though I was clearly a grown up.
And you customized it then. And was it good? Like, did you instantly just take to it, or did it take a while to settle in?
No, I think that was the hardest thing for my mum and dad. I absolutely loved it. I mean,
They thought you'd have been pining
yeah,
for them.
they were wanting tears. They wanted me to be distraught.
You were listing the fact that there was no windows and everything and the mattress in the kitchen, but I love it. And they were like, "What?"
Yeah,
you loved all that.
Both of them when they drove, they had to leave me, and they were both on the verge of tears. And I was like, "Off you go!" And I remember actually taking myself down the street on my own, walking through Dundee, a city I'd hardly been in. And I thought it was the greatest place on earth. I just thought this was the most exciting thing. And looking back now, I was 18. Who did I think I was?
I know. I wouldn't have been able to do it. I didn't go to university. I went and did tech. I chose the closest thing. Like, I just couldn't. I went to Black
were in the
Man's
shed.
Tech in the town. Black Man's Tech is actually sounds pretty bad. Like, it's the statue outside it is named the Black
Good
Man.
context,
Absolutely.
excellent.
Good bit of
Took a
context
turn.
there. But yeah, I went down to tech for 2 years, and I just admired anybody that was able to up sticks and go away for college to anywhere, even like to Queens. I knew people that moved out to go to Queens.
See,
You know what I mean?
that's ridiculous.
Like to stay in the Holy Lands when they have their house like closer to where they're doing their lectures. I thought that was all.
That's my husband literally did that. I make fun of him for that all the time. That he sorry, I say he moved out. He still hasn't moved out of his mum's house, but he moved out to go to Belfast. And
Connor went to Queens with my sister.
That's right.
Claire,
Yeah. So did your sister move out as well?
She did.
Yeah.
She did that thing where she moved out, and I was like, "Why is she doing that?"
Like you've got free
It's
rent
just so that
and free food.
just to go out and
But
party
it's
and
cheating
have the
because I
crack.
bet you your sister did the same thing as
Came
Connor.
home at the
Came home
weekends and got the washing done and all
yeah.
that stuff, and got the lie-in, and she was like, it was like welcoming home like a returning warrior.
Yes.
And I was like, she literally just catches the 10A in the town on a Monday morning, you know, and goes out with her mates drinking between all week, and then comes home and gets her washing done. But it was like, oh, she's back, get out of her room and all. Like, she had the bigger room in the back and all. But you see, Claire, funny enough, I forgot that she went to uni with Connor. and she met you and Connor coming out of the SSE after getting the first like
Getting the
jabs.
the
Remember,
vaccine.
it was all everybody was like, it was a big deal. Everybody
Yeah,
was taking
it was a day out.
selfies of themselves and all. I was the same. Like I'm as bad as anybody. But she said after when she came out, she was raging because Connor was like, "Oh, Claire, come here. What's a crack?" And she introduced Claire to you as, "This is Paddy Raff's sister." She's like, "I went to college with you for like 2 or 3 years. I was one of your mates,
demoted.
and you're introducing me as Paddy Raff's sister." She was raging, but like she's put me in the shade now on her Dairy Girls red carpet and all that, so she's getting her own back.
I know now you're Claire's brother.
Yeah, she's going to be. I'm going to get introduced as, "Is this Claire Rafferty's brother from Dairy Girls?"
That's the way it should be, Claire.
So 2004, then that's when. So you would have started off the year in what, like upper sixth or whatever year you called it, and then moved on. So it was quite a transformation year. There's actually been a few people have chosen that year, you know, of their lives
That
as being.
transition.
I wouldn't choose that because I didn't go anywhere. You know, I stayed the same. But
It does make such a difference, you know, because I mean, there's a lot of growing up to do in that time. You know, when I started to think about 2004, and I think the start of the year, like you say, I was in upper sixth. I mean, I was a child in a school uniform, and at the time when you're at that age, you think you're so grown up.
Totally,
You know, you're looking down at the children here in their first and second year. And you're like,
even the lower six, you were like, you know, they're so young. Oh,
yeah,
you know, like,
exactly.
There's a big difference between each year, but
and it does make you appreciate it now when you look at kids in their uniform and you forget that. You know, you forget that that's how they must feel. They look at themselves as, that's it. I'm here. I'm an adulthood.
Yeah.
Well done. I still haven't reached adulthood. To be honest with you.
Even things you were doing in your early 20s, you cringe at and all. Like, you know,
don't.
you just be. So would you say then, did you party much over there, or were you very studious, like a bookworm?
No, I think there was a fair bit of partying done, if I'm honest. I think there was certainly leaving home.
I sniffed at the wrong time there, by the way. It wasn't like anybody that's listening to that, it wasn't like I was like here or anything. No,
no, not that sort of party. No,
I do have a bit of a
absolutely
cold.
not. Yeah, it was. I think it was almost a rebellious time for me then. So you know, leaving home, and I think I was a fairly good teenager. I mean, don't get me wrong. I gave my parents plenty of angst, but I went to uni. There's Freshers Week. I mean, that's a baptism of fire.
Yeah.
On its own. I remember as well, I can't remember how many weeks I was there, but on my way from my horrendous prison cell of a student flat to the where the lectures, there was conveniently placed tattoo/piercing parlour.
Oh, the temptation.
Oh, just too much. I mean, it was just perfectly located. I mean, I don't know how many students look back now with the regret of what they've done. But I thought, you know what, this is it. And I went and I got, I really build up to this now as if I've got some really excellent tattoo. I got
juicy, exclusive.
a belly button piercing. Yeah, the big one. And I thought at the time this was it. This is the most rebellious thing I could do. Wouldn't tell my mother. Now this is somebody who, I mean, I barely have my ears pierced, and also really squeamish. And I went along on my own. I mean, who does this? And got my belly button pierced, thinking I was Britney Spears. And I was so pleased with it. And I remember the first time I tried to change it, and I passed out.
And did your mum know? When did you tell your mum about it?
So I didn't. And then she found out on Christmas Day because my best friend bought me a belly button.
I was a metal detector.
Ring. I don't even. That would do it. That would have been easy. She might not have cracked that then. So no, she bought me a belly button ring or whatever
and
it
she's
is.
like, what's this? What's this all about?
Yeah. So I didn't even show it to her. I left it with the pile of presents, and my mum was having a wee hook round on Christmas morning. And then next thing I heard, Holly.
Oh, you know that
And she
tone.
said, lift up your top. It was just.
And did you know what was going on then? Like, you know,
as soon as she
you
said
clocked
that, I was busted. But here, it's not the worst thing I could be doing.
Yeah, well,
you know?
I mean, that was,
the
it could have been
time,
a big
it feels
lower
awful.
back tattoo. Do you remember that was a big craze at the time, the big lower back tattoo? And
my goodness,
I remember
my
there was a
mother.
sketch about what that would look like when you were older, like grannies running about with a big wrinkly stretched, you know, like lower back tattoo. It was all the rage.
Is this the point where I show you mine now?
You should have. That would have been brilliant. We'll get the cameras out. No, I remember the belly button piercing thing because this is really sad. But like, whenever you were a kid, they were like, "What would you do?" You know, like when you were like 15, there's fellas in school who'd be like, "We're gonna go and get our eyebrows pierced and all this here."
Yeah.
And I made it absolute dick of myself because they were like, "What are we all getting piercing wise?" And I think they were setting me up on purpose. And I said, "A belly button piercing." They were like, what? We're getting our nose done or our eyebrow or like our top of our ear. What are you getting a belly button piercing for? And the reason I kind of just came out with that was because my sister loved Take That. And I hated them when I was a kid, but I kind of hated them because like I liked them because they were like good looking fellas who could like dance and sing. So I pretended I hated Take That. But like Mark Owen had like a belly button ring. He used to put his top up and he had a belly button piercing.
I don't remember this.
Yeah, like belly button piercing.
Mark
I was like,
Owen had a belly
that's
button
the key
piercing.
to, yeah, pretty sure he did. Because there was a video Take That had. Do you ever remember Take That and Party? Right? Was it like their first album? There was a video that came out with that where it was all their songs and they done videos for every one of them, even if they weren't singles. And I swear to God, you have to get it on like YouTube. I'm sure it's out there. They got naked except for like jock straps.
What?
And were covered in jelly and mopped. And I think like,
Are you sure?
Yeah, 100%.
I feel like you've stumbled across something totally different.
100%. You could. I have to get this little link in the description for wherever this podcast.
How's Gary
goes
Barlow
out.
getting away with this?
It's definitely out there. I remember vividly, and I think it was the early days when they were trying to really, whoever was managing them at the time wanted to corner that sort of, slightly.
What
camp,
area of the market is that?
Yeah, and now it changed very much for the second album. But I remember, and that's where the belly button piercing was very much a feature of that, which is why I thought that's the key. That's what you got to do. Get your belly button pierced.
I'm so disappointed. I didn't know this, but yeah, I could just. So did you get
We'll
get
look
one?
it up. I never got one in the end. I chickened out.
I thought it was and lift up your top, Paddy.
It'd be out to there now. Like you wouldn't get changed much.
That'd be better than the tattoo.
But yeah, so you got your belly button pierced, and Freshers Week. Then was that good crack? Did any celebrities turn up to your Freshers Week? Because I always remember to do like the nostalgia celebrities, like so Timmy Mallet going to like doing Wackaday and stuff, and Pat Sharp DJing at Freshers Week. Was there any like big names going to Dundee University, or was it like
we had the Venga Boys?
Ah,
I remember the Venga Boys because one of them was heavily pregnant.
Right.
And and did the entire dance routine. And I mean, like she must have been about 8 months pregnant and just was like in a bikini top.
Class.
Fair play to her.
That's a big booking because they're like all the rage again. Like sort of after that. I suppose that would have been the odd time because we've maybe talked about this before, where it's like takes 20 years for things to become like sort of cool retro again, and everyone listening because the kids of the people who listened to them originally are then sort of have grown up and are now listening to their parents' music and loving it. But at that time, that would have been about 10 years after Venga Boys, or maybe even less, about 8 years. They were big in sort of 95 to 98. Maybe
Dundee
2000.
University had, I think it was we were the biggest, best student union, believe it or not. I know, so random.
They all say that probably.
No, but genuinely from the Times, I think you'll find. The Times declared them while I was there, it was the best students' union.
Probably the kiss of death for any credibility. Did you read the Guardian's list of the best? Very nice.
Doesn't make it very cool, does it?
So yeah, that was. And how did they win that? Was it like
I
best place
think
to go or best place for the
student experience? Okay. Yeah, literally. Well, why do you think I was there?
They obviously didn't interview you with your cell and your mattress in the kitchen.
You forget, I loved it. I thought it was brilliant.
You probably give it a yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was super. I was walking distance to Fat Sam's nightclub. It was amazing. Anyone who has ever stepped foot in Dundee, by the way, who's listening to this, will be fully aware of Fat Sam's.
What was it like? Just madness, cheesy music,
and sticky carpet,
sticky floors. Yeah, they went carpet.
They went carpet,
like the Beach Club. Remember the Beach Club around the same time in the Odyssey? Or
You've just given me another flashback to that.
Yeah, the Beach Club got in the sticky floors.
Trying to get in there with a fake ID.
Yeah, you literally would like walk in and you got stuck to one spot and you're like, I can't move from here. This is me.
2004 was a big year for the Beach Club. Do you remember? It used to be you'd have to queue the whole way down the Odyssey to get in.
Yep, you go to the cinema and watch Spider-Man 1, and you could still join the queue.
Whatever Spider-Man it might have been.
It was I was on the other day and I checked it out, and it was 2000 or 2002 actually. So yeah, you could have done that. So yeah, the big snake and queues. Yeah. And then there was the box as well.
That's right.
That was a bit more.
The box was the box was kind of fancy.
Tried to be cooler, yeah. But yeah, the Beach Club was where I used to go into the Beach Club and did you ever do like a WKD party shooter?
Oh yeah, of course.
But they didn't have WKD. They had like a knockoff brand.
Was it not VK?
That was what it was.
VK was big in Dundee as well. Everyone had VK Tropical. That was the drink. Everyone had VK Tropical.
VK hangovers. What was a VK hangover like?
Oh, well, do you know, it was the worst thing. Everyone what you would do is you'd order a shot with a VK Tropical. And what did you call it when you put the straw into
party shooting? That's what I was.
I could never do it.
Oh, I was good at that.
But I to this day, that's my biggest regret.
No, you gotta learn it. It is a.
How does it work? What's the? I don't understand.
So you bend the neck, you bend the straw
and
around the neck,
out.
and no, because what that does is it's a bit like it releases the air. So as it goes into your mouth, it's this the whole theory of displacement. Do you know the way, like, if something's coming out, if water's coming out of a vessel, the air has to technically get into it.
I'm getting flashbacks.
So
of
if you
Dundee students.
let's get the whiteboard out here.
This.
So basically, the straw allows air bubbles to fly in to displace the liquid, so it goes out far quicker.
Yeah. Maybe if I'd known that, maybe it would have worked for me.
There, that's what it is. So you kind of have to like leave a wee gap. So as the liquid's flying in, the air is getting into the thing, and that's the secret.
I'm gonna be trying this out again later on.
That's the secret.
I'll be explaining this.
The
to
most
people.
boring bit of the podcast ever.
Please
but
let this be on the highlights.
we need to like make a TED talk out of this. Yeah.
Why
Gets you,
don't we?
basically, the long and short of it, it gets you drunk far quicker because you just
You
fired it.
drink it
But
so
there were
quickly.
very low alcohol content, those things. But I was good at it, and the thing I used to do was be like being a bit cheap at the time and not having much money. Was I would challenge someone in the group or somebody that you were talking to, if I can drink mine quicker than you have to pay for it.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
So you could
Yeah.
go all night without having to pay for anything. And I did meet my match one time, and I just got more and more drunk with a fella. I think it was on St. Paddy's Day, trying to beat him, and he'd one of those people who had no swallow reflex.
Oh,
It
see,
went
this is
down
what
in
I
one
mean. I have whatever the opposite of that is.
go. Right? What is the opposite? of that?
I don't know, but
You spew
my throat just closes
VK.
over whenever I tried to drink it. So no, I could never do it. I mean, it was always but my biggest feeling. I think
You'd be
whenever
all
I
right
went to
now. Like if
university. I really
at the
don't think I
time when
would.
you'd no money or whatever, it was a great way to kind of make sure you got a cheap night out.
That was a good thing back then too. You sent a cheap night out. I could go out for a $5.
Now,
No, not now, but
Back
back
then,
then.
Yeah,
My
oh,
drinks
aye.
were like £1.
yeah,
It was-
get all the promotions. You used to do tours of the
Yeah.
bars, knowing when their promotions were, when was happy hour, and you could go in. I remember I used to do a trick, which was I would drink a pint without touching it with my hands, so just with the teeth, knock a pint back, and then do a party shooter and finish with a shot.
You need to do a TED talk on this.
We should do that.
I
The
mean,
hangovers were horrendous.
many-
Like talk about mixing your drinks, but you could take it back then a bit more.
good. That's it.
I got put off. Do you remember Iron Brew WKD, that flavour?
No.
See, Scotland
Even
are
when I
really
was in
precious
Scotland.
about their
Yeah, they
about
are.
Iron Brew.
That would have been banned.
I think Scotland is the only country in the world where Coke isn't the biggest.
Oh, yeah, totally.
Soft drink. It's Iron Brew.
I could never get my head around that anytime anyone if you had a hangover, I mean, every Scottish person's like, I need Iron Brew, and Iron Brew. Like, ugh, no, it's right. I mean, that makes me feel even more sick thinking about Iron Brew.
Yeah, that's like their Lucasade. I would
Yeah.
go for Lucasade. But the reason I cannot have either Iron Brew or Iron Brew WKD was because the first proper night out I had with my mates, that's what I was drinking, and I drank that all night,
Totally.
and I threw up the next day. And it was on. I didn't even wake up to throw up. That's how lazy I was. And I knew I was going to do it. And I just went off. And I just put the head out.
I like the way
bed.
you made that sound like that's a thing. Like, wake up to throw up. Like, what?
Wake up to throw up. It's like thumbs up for
Or-
Monday.
or
kinda,
not.
Yeah, like the slogan. You got to wake up to throw up. But it's a good line for a song. Good name for an album, like a punk album. Wake up to throw up. But I basically just threw up over the side of the bed.
Oh,
I was on the
no.
pillow and everything. And I woke up the next day like in the worst shape. My ma cracked up. I had to clean the room. And anytime I smell it now,
Oh.
that's my trigger one is Iron Brew.
That's funny. Even to this day, I can't really drink vodka, probably for that reason, because I
Oh,
think it's
yeah.
when I was a student that was the go-to drink.
The smell of vodka on other people. I didn't realize the vodka had a smell.
Yeah,
like it's got.
that's because you smelt of it. And
Well, what happened
Can't
was
smell yourself.
my dad used to go out like saying when I was about say 8 or 9. They'd go out. My mum's a really good snooker player, and she used to go out and beat a lot of. I was going to say beat off a lot of fellas.
She can hustle.
Beat a lot of fellas.
totally different.
Yeah, she can hustle.
Just to be clear.
So yes. But so they used to go out on like a Sunday and play a bit of snooker and come home, and I remember going, "What's that smell?" And my mum used to be like, "That's the smell of the cold." From outside, the smell of the cold. And
It suddenly
the
feels like a
cold
really
was on
tragic
them.
story.
Yeah, and then I remember like going out with mates, and I'm like, "I smell the cold in here." They're like, "What?" I was like, "I smell the cold off you." And they're like,
Poor
"You mean vodka?" I was like, "Oh, she lied to me." She lied. It's not the cold at all. It was vodka.
I feel like it's taken a turn.
It's very dark.
It's really dark.
But you put like a violin sad music bed on it.
I smell the cold. No, son.
Is it the
it's
cold,
vodka.
Mummy? I can't see anymore. It's just the cold, darling. It's very Dickensian. Briggsy, will we get off this merry-go-round?
Well, it's I must say you're both very sweet. I can imagine you both out in 2004 together drinking your little tropical shooters and comparing your belly button rings. It's not super sexy rock and roll, not exactly what we're, with these formative years of your life. I had a third tropical shooter and had to be sick the next morning. All over my belly button ring. Speaking of things that happened in 2004 relating to what you've been talking about, wardrobe malfunctions and Britney Spears.
Oh.
So have either of you on telly?
You mean Janet Jackson's one?
No, sorry, not
she was the
Britney
one.
Spears. Yeah, Janet Jackson and Justin Timberlake, of course, at the Super Bowl.
Yes.
So Justin Timberlake kind of ripped half of her top off and exposed one of her boobs that had a big star.
Big thing.
I'm sorry, I was just distracted there thinking about a time that that I exposed my nipple on air. No, it hasn't happened recently. No.
Well, there we
really?
go.
Tell us more.
Yeah, we probably. It seems like that's something you've told us beforehand, and I've brought this in, but that's a beautiful coincidence. That
is one thing I have never done. I don't.
Was it Justin Timberlake?
Yeah, it was Justin Timberlake. He was at
Did
it
you
again.
interview him?
I mean, in terms of work, it's almost like actually not far from it. It is a constant battle. Wardrobe malfunctions when you're on air. Men have it so easy.
I know, we do.
Well, you have to stand a lot now, Holly. That's it.
You make that sound like it's so. Oh dear, love you.
You've got to worry about the whole sort of bottom half, which news people and reporters and whatever you're doing, you never used to have to worry about that. But now you sometimes are the only person standing.
Yeah.
So you've got a whole extra 50% of wardrobe to concern yourself with.
I mean, paid 50% more.
Yes, let's take that. Yeah, take that to the BBC. Do you know, the worst part is, you'll see, I'm in trainers today. I kind of live in trainers, and when I go to work, I'm usually in trainers.
Yeah.
And then they're like, Holly, can you stand up? Can you stand by the wall or whatever it is? And you're like, oh no, I've got to go put my high heels on. That's the worst part, having to go and put high heels on. But no, it doesn't bother me standing up sometimes. I'm quite an active person, even when I'm on air, and directors have a hard time with me sometimes because they'll very kindly put a little X on the ground of where you're supposed to stand. I will wander about 10 miles away from that during a program. I cannot stay in one place. Holly, back in your spot.
Are you getting that in your ear then?
Constantly, Holly, you're creeping forward again because I kind of creep towards the camera. I'm kind of get into the camera's personal space. There's no social distancing for me. So yeah, it's I can't remember how I got onto that, but yeah, winter wardrobe. So in terms of wardrobe, I think the hardest thing too is buttons and that sort of thing. You're just trying not to expose yourself.
And did you expose yourself on air?
I've come so close so many times, and I probably have, and nobody's noticed. I mean, probably somebody might notice, but even the other day I had a top on and it had just like a little rogue button. You're just like stay in, and then every time a clip
and they're the things
in.
people pick up on and go on about.
Totally.
Like, do you remember there was a period whenever they used to? Was it Channel 5 used to do like kind of nudie weather with people? Do you remember all that? What was all that about?
Yeah, would have around the world, like there'd be.
No, but it was like they would do actual.
They would do it.
Yeah.
No, there was a UK one. I'm not sure.
Maybe
it was
Channel 5.
It, like
it
might have been on
station
like Sky or something. One of them very lofty numbers on Sky. I don't know, but there was
that oiled up gentleman reading the news, and then like
I don't remember that.
What are you watching? I'm saying these are like, remember that. I clearly didn't go to the lofty numbers up past.
And then they'd have like sort of semi-nudie ladies doing the weather.
I thought that was more around the world. I thought that was
I think there was a
Tarrant on TV.
Eurotrash was good for all that.
Yeah, we always end up talking about Eurotrash.
Yeah, we did. Always circles back.
The type of guests that we get have all grown up, reared on Eurotrash.
Yeah, scarred bad is more a word. Yeah. No, I like in terms like the wardrobe thing and thinking about it on TV. It's something that never crossed my mind. Like
it's a nightmare.
Doing the sketch show, I just was sort of like, I would just put these clothes together, stick them on, and go. And then you would see, because in the pilot there was literally, because of COVID as well, very low budget, but there was the director wasn't even on in the room. He was down in Dublin on like doing it over Zoom, and so many times we get to the end of something and would look at it and go, we have to shoot that all again because the way like the granny's cardigan was sitting or whatever, or something was sticking out, or and it just ruins, it takes you out of it. And it was so annoying. And it wasn't until the second series of the show that we, luckily, whenever we got you on to be interviewed by Nigel, we had somebody to do costume and even a bit of hair and makeup, which is a lot for women because like you get judged so much more intensely on your appearance, your makeup, your hair. Like for me, bald guy, no hair except for massive eyebrows to take care of. So I'm okay, but that was something that I kind of went, yeah, you really need that in TV to make sure that your eye just gets drawn to these wee sort of malfunctions and whatever.
Like if you ever watch any TV with my mum, for example, my mum is not listening at all to what's coming out of anyone's mouth.
Critiquing them.
Where'd she get that necklace from? What's she doing wearing that necklace? And what's she doing with her hair there tonight? Look at the state of it. And I'm constantly thinking about this. And there's the other thing too, when I'll come off air and I've done a really good report and something, I'm really proud of it, really put a lot of research into it. I'll get text from mum, I like that top.
Thanks.
But what about what
Nothing
I
else.
said, mummy? None of that. So people are, particularly as women, they're scrutinizing what you're wearing, the way your hair is all the time. All the men need to worry about is what tie they're wearing. Sometimes they might wear a jazzy wee sock.
I didn't realise it, that whenever like you'd be standing in between takes, somebody would just pop up out of nowhere and start like feeling you and moving things. And you're like, well, that's because, they're here to do costume.
You do need it. And like, as you say, because it happens so many times where no one's watching out for that. And that is all people that's all people look at. They just look at, oh my goodness, look at that bit of hair. One bit of hair like this coming out the side of my head.
And then no one's paying attention to what you're talking about.
Exactly, no one's listening.
It's wild.
There was a sketch we did in the Christmas, first series Christmas episode, where I was dressed as Nigel and I was coming up to the door to like give presents out, and there was a shot from behind, and we got the whole way through. It was all shot and done, and the first edit straight away I went, that jumper it has a next label on it, and you can see that it says next on the jumper that he had nodded about his things. Like, Nigel would never wear a next jumper.
Yeah, of course.
And people will pick up on that, and people go, oh, I noticed Nigel shops at next, tut, not very BT9. So I was like, I think they like sort of blurred it out, which made it worse, because then you wanted to look at wonder what that said. It was like,
they assume it's something offensive.
Yeah,
that's the thing.
next.
Like, why is that blurred out? What does it say?
But even like whenever I remember when that Janet Jackson thing happened, that was pretty much, I'm pretty sure, the first time wardrobe malfunction became a thing. And it was so funny because everybody blamed her.
Yes.
She was the one in the wrong, when Justin Timberlake literally ripped the thing off.
Yeah.
Like, that's like,
But surely it was, I think, was it not agreed that it was a setup, that it was deliberate?
No, I don't think she said it wasn't.
Surely,
And
because
it
she had
was
like
recently
she had a big metal star covering her nipple.
No, but
so I thought that it was.
Yeah,
for her.
there's definitely
That's
a discussion.
I don't know. I
got
thought
that wrong. But
I
always
thinking
assumed
recently.
that
Sure,
it
he had to
was-
apologize for it
gonna
after
say,
the whole Britney Spears thing. He had to go back and apologize for his behavior about all that. I think maybe he said it was planned and it wasn't.
Exactly. I'm not sure she was aware that it was. Anyway, we could.
Yeah,
But why
we'll
did
go
she
all
have
day.
the big star thing?
I don't know, but
I think that's quite a common thing, though.
yeah, just like
think
that's whatever she wants to wear under,
Oh,
Holly
I'm not.
has a belly
I'm
button
not
piercing,
questioning,
like,
but it was
Holly's-
very.
Holly's a belly button piercing. Doesn't mean we're gonna expect to see it.
And
I've got a
but
big
just-
red star
Did
over it.
it not just kind of flop down?
What's flapping down now?
boobs.
I'm trying to remember exactly what happened.
It was
So-
like a button thing.
No,
but
I
it
can't
just
remember
felt like
now.
it just
came
it
off
just
quite-
it just seemed to be conveniently, perfectly a little bit of cloth that just
Yeah,
revealed
it
this
was like a
boob.
little. What's the word? Like a little trap
It just
door.
seemed, yeah, it just
You
seemed
see,
too perfect.
Justin Timberlake could have been a bit like me, right? Because back in the day, he spotted an opportunity. It was like
You
buttoned.
pervert.
No, listen. Do you remember debagging people? Do you remember debagging?
Oh, lousy. What a lousy thing to be at, like.
Yeah, no,
I was-
debagging.
oh, I do
Yes.
Oh, no,
remember
that was
that.
brilliant. Debagging was brilliant, right?
Oh,
And
it
it
really
used to be.
was.
Were you the
had to-
debagger or the debaggee?
Oh, well, it was kill or be killed, get or get
Yeah.
got. So you had to kind of strike first. But debagging used to be where you would, before the button-ups, Adidas button-ups, you would pull down, yank people's trousers down. You got debagged. And it was
You call them button-ups, by the way.
Adidas button-ups.
I call them poppers.
Oh, that's something totally
Oh,
different.
hang on.
We're
Controversy here.
you out looking poppers and getting something
Debagged.
Poppers were
Getting
something
debagged.
totally
They
different.
go together. But so button-ups, but we used to be like keeping an eye for it, and once button-ups started coming in, it took debagging to a whole new level. It was like a whole new world for it. It breathed life into it because it was kind of becoming
It was
that
a
whole
lost art too.
It was getting me too. You know what I mean? And then all of a sudden, the poppers or the button-ups came out, and it was like this thing, but it became a two-man job, right? So what you used to have to do was you spotted somebody with them, both of you would be like team up, you'd walk past and you'd go for the bottom and rip
That's
them
it.
off like a pair of cowboy chaps. But the thing was, Adidas ones were sewn then from like say about the sort of shorts level
That's right.
up, so didn't come fully off. But Kappa button-ups were fully buttoned,
I
and
remember.
yet again another development
Were they
in
right
the,
up to
in the
the
debagging
waist?
game. Yeah, the whole way.
No, I don't
Kappa.
remember
See,
that.
Kappa was a wee bit more street. I was just
Yeah.
about getting away with Adidas
I don't think
ones.
I couldn't get away with
Kappas.
Kappas.
Kappa. Do you remember the
no.
Kappa symbol? Right.
Yeah.
If you put your finger over the middle of it, it's a man and a woman sitting back to back.
I always thought it was two women. But
Well,
anyway.
I think it is two
I
women.
always thought it was two men.
Oh, there you go.
It's perception. It's gender neutral. It was
There you
gender
go.
fluid. Kappa
Kappa were way
bottoms.
ahead of
But if
themselves.
you get the Kappa, this is one of those things you used to do as a kid. The Kappa logo man and woman sitting back to back, and you put your finger over the middle of it, it looked like a woman with her legs open. It's very sexual imagery here, but no.
I think that's only if you were a teenage boy. By the way, did you see that on everything?
Like, I remember being shown it, like, here, come here to say, and then they put it over. And they're like, do it again.
That's like 8008 on a calculator.
Yeah,
that is right up there.
Yeah. But no, the best thing about debagging somebody that had Kappa button-ups on was non-uniform day in school. You could never do that in school, and then non-uniform day came, and I remember vividly there was one guy. I remember somebody came into our class, like, here, so the touch has Kappa button-ups on. Everybody ran out, like, right, let's go. So you had to plan it, and somebody like was a bit of a decoy talking to him, and then two of us ran out.
It was
like Magic Mike in school. It just boom, chaps off.
But you say it was like the more wholesome of debagging. There was something about just that is the worst.
I'm not even super keen on either you saying the word.
Yeah, you're right.
No, it's not.
It was your bags. You debagged somebody, but I was a gentleman debagger. I went from the thighs down. There were people who took it too far and would do it at the waistband, hoping to get your boxers as well.
Well, that's a different
I didn't want to get anybody's genitals out. I was just going for let's all see their underwear and have a bit of a laugh. Maybe there's a few stains we can all point and laugh and But no, there were ones that would go for the waistband, and they were the ones you had to watch out for. They're the ones that are now,
the gentleman debagger. Paddy Raff, the gentleman debagger.
Gentleman debagger.
It sounds like a Chaucer,
No, it sounds like you're sort
novel.
of you're
can't read tales. The gentleman debagger. Watch out, the gentleman debagger. I'll get you.
You'd be the one I'd have to worry about.
Benny Hill. What's it? The gentleman. Shall we go to Holly's birthday party in 2004? So, kind of middle of December.
Let's explain the concept, because it sounds like we had surveillance at your birthday party.
I'm glad you did.
Hold on.
I remember.
So basically, what we do is we have a section called "It's My Party," and we look at what your party might have been like in 2004. So we know your birthday. We're not going to give it out so that you can get, I don't know, it's like a data protection.
In case I get presents.
Why would you be sensitive about your birthday?
Because it's a data. It's like one of the questions they ask you on the phone
yeah,
whenever
they're trying to get all your
data. I suppose you could work out your date of birth from what we've talked about, your full date of birth. Yeah, it's good. see, like the 4 digits you used to. I'd give mine out right now. Like, I don't understand the obsession with people.
Yeah, why is that the most important part of the?
No, but like the 4, like, so if you can use the 4, you suppose you don't need this
for your phone and all that.
No, for like the 4 digits that you type on whenever you're using a credit card. Your pin.
Oh, your pin.
Your pin. It's called a pin number.
No one's breaking into yours anyway. I don't even know what you're talking about.
I mean, I'm not going to do it because I feel like I'll get in trouble for doing it, but I would have no problem doing it because I don't.
There's more to it than that. Yeah, you need more. You need a lot more than just the pin number these days anyway.
Well, you need the card, which is kind of in my pocket.
Yeah, but that isn't always the case. What if it gets lost and you've give out your pin number? Go do it then.
If you're so sure.
How successful the podcast is.
If there's an audible clip, audible silence here, there's a John. He gave his pin number out, and then after went, let's actually cut that out.
It's a good pin number as well.
Oh, don't tease us. But there'll be people trying to work it out in the comment section.
008 boob. So on the stereo at Holly's birthday.
So this is the sort of the top 10 from your birthday. So what was the top 10?
Well, we'll go through the top 10, for the singles. So Drop It Like It's Hot.
Absolute.
Tilt Ya Head Back, which I don't remember. One of Nelly and Christina Aguilera's lesser hits.
No, I don't remember that.
Baby Shambles. Lamar.
Oh, he's coming back.
Lamar is,
What was Lamar? What was I
Lamar
don't remember.
was it Fame Academy?
He was brilliant. Loved his voice. If there's any justice in the world, no. Lamar was brilliant. He was like one of those. He was one of the first ones found in like the Fame Academy Pop Idol that was really.
He was properly good. I'm sure he's making a comeback.
I loved his voice.
Good for him. Natasha Bedingfield, Unwritten.
Oh,
what
were you
a
big Natasha Bedingfield fan?
Nobody was a big Natasha Bedingfield fan.
Yeah,
I mean,
no one was.
do you know what I mean? No one went no one's got a tattoo on their arm.
Famous brother and sister, Natasha.
That's right.
Saw an interview with him recently, and he's like making serious coin writing for other people.
Yeah.
I love that. I love the fact that people will be like, and I think he said that himself. Everybody's all sort of snooty about. Remember Daniel Bedingfield? And he's like, I'm living.
I have my. Does he live in Australia or something?
California, I think he said he was like Venice Beach, that kind of area.
Good Daniel Bedingfield knowledge.
Big fan.
Green Day had their comeback 2004. Girls Aloud, I'll Stand By You.
What was the Green Day song?
Boulevard of Broken Dreams. So it's all American Idiot.
The Oasis.
I loved a bit of Green
That was
Day.
the same chords as Wonderwall.
2004
Boulevard
was
Broken Dreams.
the start of George Bush's second term. So that's that record out. Destiny's Child, Lose My Breath, absolute turbo banger. Ice Cube, You Can Do It, brilliant. Number one, you could probably guess this, 2004, coming up to Christmas.
No, Mariah Carey was not number one then. Wasn't, what do you call them,
Mad
The Darkness?
No.
That was the year
That was
before.
the
It's the year
That
before
was
we talked
2003.
about
Mad
Darkness.
World.
It
Yeah.
was the second dodgy Band-Aid 2.0.
Oh,
Was
yes,
it?
With
that's
all
right. Chris
the-
Martin.
Yeah, and Dizzy
not that
Rascal.
long
Dizzy
ago.
Rascal
in the
rapped
middle
in
of
it. Yep.
And
That's right.
and they kind of almost, on a sort of on a cultural sort of musical level, I'm sure they really raised lots of money for charity, which was it's quite good to do that. But they almost ruined the legacy of Band-Aid, and everyone sort of just
Yeah.
kind of-
Nobody ever.
No one ever plays
no
that
one goes
version.
for that one. No, it's the
No.
original
I would still
version.
play the original Band-Aid.
Oh, yeah.
I love the original
In the
Band-Aid version,
discotheque.
but I do it in like the stand-up whenever it's coming up to Christmas. I bring this bit back. Where do you know that there was a singer in the Band-Aid song that sung his own name in the lyrics?
That's right, yeah.
And if you scan through it, and I've done it in stand-up, like, and I play the song, we'll go through each one, and it's basically when you get to it, it's Sting, because he sings the line, "The bitter sting of tears is a bitter sting of tears," and it's actually Sting. And it's like, technically, he sings his own. Well, it doesn't say Bernard Sumner, which is his real
Yeah,
name.
I was really hoping
And he
that's where
said the
you were
bitter
going with
Bernard
that.
Sumner of tears. You can go, we know what you're doing there. But it says the bitter sting of tears, and it always goes. I go, did he know that? Did he scan the lyrics and go, here, give us that one? We're going to
Yeah.
bring you in later with like George Michael or something. No, I'm
No.
going to do that. So
I can
he
get Sting in
says
there.
bitter sting of tears.
That only works when your name's Sting, though, doesn't it? Like, if your
Yeah.
name is literally anyone else. Maybe Bono at a push could get in there somewhere.
He sung Well Tonight, Thank God It's Them instead of you two.
Bono.
I was like, nah, it's Bono what you're doing there, Bono.
U2 were number one on the album charts with their comeback records, How to Dismantle and Atomic Bomb.
Oh,
A lot of
yeah,
comebacks
that
in
that
there.
was
A lot of comebacks.
Robbie, Kylie, Shania, Rona Keaton, Greatest Hits, Eminem's in there as well. Lamar in the album charts. Il Divo.
Oh, yeah.
Il Divo. What
Il
was the crack with
Divo.
Il
Was that
Divo?
an X Factor thing?
I was thinking about them the other day. I don't know if they were. There was like 3G or 4G or their G4, whatever one isn't the network coverage thing. There was, but I think Il Divo came out around the same time, and I thought they were maybe a pop idol band or pop stars
Yeah, or
band, but
something.
no. And I was
Are they
just
a band?
I just heard recently, the reason I was thinking about them recently was the main guy that in them died of COVID.
That's right, he died, yeah.
And he was the
He's very
only
young.
one. He was 50 something,
Yeah.
52. He was the only one that looked like he should have been in that band. Like he
But
was
are they
like
not
sort of
all
Italian
very,
looking.
But they're not all like that, though. Is that not the thing?
No,
Or was it a
he
bit like that
stuck
thing
out like a sore thumb.
collectively as a group? They
They
looked
sounded
like it, but if
great.
you separated them all, they just
Yeah.
looked like they were from
well,
Yorkshire.
no, when you seen them, and I googled them again to remind myself, and it does. He looks like a member of the Dolmio family, you know,
Yeah,
the Dolmio
yeah, yeah.
puppets, and they just look like Carver Warehouse salesmen. And it looks like he went in he went in for Nokia 3310 and came out with, you know, a
boy band.
vocal crossover classical band. But they were brilliant, like great singers and all. But he was the only one, and he freaking died of COVID.
Oh, I remember reading that. It was very sad.
Yeah,
Do you know what? What an amazing time for music.
yeah,
Really?
2004.
I really do think
I was
that.
going to say the opposite, Holly, if I'm being completely honest.
Maybe
Especially
it's
when
all
you
the
look.
memories.
When
Do
you
you
look
remember
at-
fondly of because it's 2004 and that was your time?
I'm thinking that. Like, I have such fond memories of basically
the music?
all of
That's
those.
the top 10 at your birthday. See the actual top 10 of singles over here. It's utterly dog shit,
Oh,
right?
no.
So you have that weird thing, right? So there's Toxic, Britney Spears. That's good. Mysterious Girl, Peter Andre. Fair enough. These are the top 10 singles of the entire year. Cha Cha Slide, DJ Casper.
Oh,
Still going. That's-
absolute banger.
But two of the top 10 are those bizarre, fuck it, I don't want you back, Eamon, and fuck
remember
you right back,
that?
Frankie. What was all
Yeah.
that?
That
What
was
all
really
that about?
weird.
The fact that Eamon, it sounds like such a stupid name for
Yeah,
a pop star. Eamon.
Eamon.
It's like, you know, Anne Marie.
Yeah,
It's like
yeah.
they sound like they're your auntie and uncle.
Eamon and Anne Marie.
Here are Eamon and Anne Marie. To hear about them, like, what have they split up? They're number one. They're number
And Eamon's
one.
not happy about it.
Eamon, yeah. And then Frankie, like, had the girl Frankie had the response to his song. Eamon and Frankie.
What was that
Your two gay
about? Do
uncles.
either of you remember what that whole thing was?
The beef was in
It
the song.
was. I don't think. I think there was a breakup for the original. I think the girl Frankie was just jumping on the back of it.
He's like,
I don't think there was any
didn't
relation.
even know who he
Yeah,
was.
yeah.
But I remember it was one of those songs. It was a bit like, it reminds me of that Sean Kingston, Beautiful Girl, or something. There was some sort of quality of it. It was a good song in and of itself. But then when you saw the video, you went, he doesn't look like the kind of guy who should be singing that.
No.
He should have been around at El Divo. He had the look, but Eamon was just like Eamon. Just Eamon.
Remember that? Big E.
And Mabel, like another, like Mabel, the art, like singer now. That's like a really old person's name. But
Does that mean we're getting old though? That all these youngsters are coming up and we're like, that's an
older
old
names,
name.
yeah. Oh,
It's like not. They're all
should be like
like
Paddy.
Ruby. Ruby's my grandmother's name, but Ruby's a really cool name now.
Yeah, that's right, actually,
I
yeah.
met a wee girl called Ruby yesterday
Yeah,
at the park.
it's so nice. But
It was with
You have
my
a
own
kid.
daughter.
Riggsy has a child, by the way.
I wasn't hanging around the park.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yes, I met a
Chatting
young
to a
girl.
young girl.
you just saw a wee girl.
No, I was with
Disclaimer,
my own
Riggsy has a
daughter
child.
at the park, and I was overcompensating.
Reverse.
Snow Patrol broke through in 2004, so they had a
Well,
top 10
here's the
records.
thing for you. Snow
They went to
Patrol,
your
of course.
university, didn't
Yeah,
they?
Dundee, of course.
Yeah, so
Yes.
they actually that's where they all came
Yep.
together. That's where Snow Patrol was created. So I always feel like I've got this massive affiliation with Snow Patrol. To the point I walked down the aisle to a Snow Patrol song. I know, what a cliche. But yeah, I've always had this
Which
thing.
one? Chasing Cars?
Yeah, Chasing Cars. On a string quartet. I mean, we classed it up a wee bit.
Oh, okay.
Marginally. Yeah, no, I've always to the point my sister, she's a wee bit younger than me, and she's like, I don't get Snow Patrol. I don't get it. I'm like, how can you not get Snow Patrol? It's us. It's everything about us. And,
Yeah, it's saying you
I
don't
love
get
it.
sometimes like saying you don't get like fresh air. Or,
Yeah,
you're
exactly,
not
exactly.
keen on the
Drinking
concept
water,
of,
yeah.
liquids and food.
Being alive,
Yeah.
and you know.
People are like
Not a
that
huge
though
amount
about
to get.
things that people are really into and are really successful. And if you're outside
Yeah.
that, people can't kind of square that off. It's like people enjoy things that other people don't enjoy.
Yeah.
It can't happen. There's people out there just like, and they're mainly people that comment under your videos. I don't find this funny, and you're
Yeah,
like,
well, it's okay.
that's fine.
That's all right. You don't need to say
like-
that. Move on.
Do
Don't
you get a
even
lot of
look at
stick
it.
in videos and stuff, Holly? Do you see people saying horrible things about you?
I actually think I get away with it okay sometimes. I think because I don't take myself very seriously, and I think that's a big part of it. I think people who get offended easily or write back, or they bite.
Yeah.
They're the ones that get the most abuse. But
Yeah.
I'm the first person to take the hand out of myself. So
the way
I
to be.
think, yeah. So I think that kind of preempts it. If I do have a big bit of hair sticking up, I'll be the first person to post that photo.
Comment.
Or a button, maybe not a button. I
or your
wouldn't do
mom.
that.
Your mom
It's
will
different.
post it like, look at the state of her hair tonight. Thanks,
Would
mum.
be. I think my mum has a lot to do with this, actually. But yeah, I think that's a part of it. I think, if you just don't take yourself too seriously, and I see it all the time sometimes with some of my colleagues, somebody will tweet them or message them, and then they'll respond, and you think, oh, why?
There's no point in
Don't
responding. Like, that's
bother.
exactly what that person wants. It's like, oh my God, I got a
Exactly.
response from her. And I was like,
That's-
just let it.
Totally it. So, and as I say, if someone does say something and I think it's funny, then I will retweet it and agree with it. So no, I think that's probably the reason I don't get too much abuse. So just keep making fun of myself.
Present for Holly on her birthday?
Yeah, so we would be now. This is
Yeah,
Riggsy
but-
says this, and then everybody thinks they're going to get a present. We have to
No.
start doing that. I have to get actual presents.
No, no.
But basically, no, he doesn't. That's a
not in
headache.
the
You don't
budget.
want to have to. I have to go back in time for these things because we're looking for the present of the year in sort of 2004. What was everybody buying? What was all the rage? So Riggsy has done the research now, so you don't have to remember.
Well, just
but-
going to give you a couple of options. You can either have a Nintendo DS, which actually came out in 2004, or you can have one of the many crappy kind of knockoff iPods that came out, of
Yeah.
which I owned one.
Yeah.
Because I went with one of the alternates then and completely bet in the wrong horse.
Oh,
And then was stuck with this. I can't remember what it was called.
Remember MP3 players?
Yeah, I was rocking about with like a USB pen, no, like a pen drive
Yeah.
that had a wee like readout on it, and
Could you listen to
I think you could get like 30 songs on it max. And then you started 30 songs max, but it was a really annoying readout on it, and it was like, but yeah, I should have just went with the iPod or whatever it was
Yeah.
coming out then, because betting the wrong horse.
I remember
exactly.
my first iPod. Yeah, I did have that one. It was probably in 2004, and it was pink, obviously.
So you would have gone for the
So
iPod
basic.
then. You would
Yeah,
have.
yeah.
And what would have been on your iPod? Any of the music that we've mentioned?
Probably Britney, yeah, and Snow Patrol.
And
I mean,
Snow
I'm the
Patrol.
most basic person. In
really?
2004, I was. Well, you see, when I left school, I would have been much more into kind of Green Day and like myself a bit of Pearl Jam. Thought I was really cool, and then for some reason, then I left school, and well, probably because I went
because you were old,
I
you
went-
were getting older. You
I
had to leave. So you could, can I just
You're
say
not
here?
correct.
I
You went
just-
mad and got the belly button piercing.
Yeah, exactly. I went full Britney. I mean,
But
I was
then
just
did
1
you
week
go
off
off the
shaving my
rails?
head.
You went all pop. Then you saying you went kind of poppy.
Yeah,
then
I think it was because
'Cause you're
then I was
going
going
out
out.
and that- yeah,
exactly,
and
and you want
kinda connecting that way.
the tunes. But I still always do. I still always pine after
See,
that.
I was the
part of me.
opposite. I was pop all the way through being a kid, and
Oh, no, I
up
was
until I was about
wee
maybe
rebel.
15 or 16, where I'd listened to nothing that was in any way sort of had any real quality in terms of culturally. I was like, well, I suppose like the old bands like, you know, ABBA and Queen and ELO and all
I
that.
didn't know where you were going. I did not expect ABBA.
ABBA? You were like, no, that was me. Like,
You were into
like,
ABBA at school?
middle of the road, like through school. I kept it on the download. I pretended that I was in the, you know, like
I was on his
grunge
wee
and stuff
pen
like
drive.
that. I was pretending I was in the grunge and stuff as a kid. Quite often got found out by people who were actual proper, you know, sort of fans of these bands. And I knew like the one song off the radio.
You had your
of them.
headphones on, and they go, "What are you listening to
Yeah.
there?"
Or like, oh,
Stupid.
In Utero by the Nirvanas. And they're like, what? But yeah, and then it wasn't until later that but you went the opposite
No,
way.
I
So
went
you were
totally the
you were
opposite,
kind of a
yeah.
bit rocky, and then
I had much better taste in music at school. I mean, arguably.
me?
No, then
Oh, sorry.
yeah.
Like,
Well, yes, and you.
then yeah, of course. But yeah,
Your
so
ABBA.
and then you went sort of poppy because you're going out and stuff into the
Yeah,
clubs.
and
And
well, I think Snow Patrol's always been the consistent, but yeah, I was really into kind of and even a bit of Metallica, and you wouldn't believe, at school. And then
I would have been pretending to like all those bands. Yeah. Like we were kind of like in our house. It was like we weren't that religious, but it was like almost like it was scary music. Like turn that off. That's all that
Yeah.
shouting and screaming. And now like we're in the car. Like my daughter literally asked me to put on Pantera in the car. Like
no,
she's like
your daughter's
let's-
really cool.
she loves Pantera.
Like if she came in
Yeah.
here now, I think I'd be intimidated.
Yeah.
Pantera?
Pantera. Yeah.
Why is she listening to Pantera?
Because there was a film that had like a snippet of one of their songs in it, and she was like she used to keep repeating it and singing it back to me. And I was like, I must actually look it up because I was too scared to be in the Pantera when I was a kid,
Yeah.
and then I've stuck it on. It was Walk. So like she be sitting there, and as soon as it comes on in the car, she
No
like does
way.
all, and she knows all the words.
So
to
by the
it.
time she's our age, then she'll be really into
Yeah.
ABBA.
Yeah, and she's gonna go the other way. But they love like Ghost, the band, the kind of big metal band at the minute. That's and I love Ghost as well. But they love it because I love it. And I I shouldn't have done it, but I told my son there was a video of them, and at a certain point somebody throws up the rock symbol from the crowd, and I told my son it was me, and it's stuck, and he told her it was me, and now she's
No.
like anytime she sees somebody doing the rock symbol in a video, she's like, Dad, there's you. It's like as if I'm in Rock and
You
Rio
invented
2000
it.
and
You invented rock and roll.
yeah.
Wow.
They play it. Yeah, I feel bad about that. I'm gonna have to unpick that one.
Every time that we do this podcast, Paddy's credibility just takes a
Yeah.
tiny
Hey,
little chip
this is what this is all about.
every single time. It's just like, just one thing
Gives
after
like that
another.
little morsel of more of himself.
I'm quite happy to let people. I can't lie because I want to stop the lies of like that I was kind of in any way cool or whatever growing up.
I don't think there
wasn't.
ever was a lie, didn't it? But
To me, that's what I'm saying is I can't perpetuate that. If I'm going to talk about what I was like as a kid, I'm not going to be like, so I used to go in like by listening to like Soundgarden and stuff. And, no, I was pretending I was doing that kind of stuff. But yeah, I think you're on about like things like the things I was buying and like the leather chaps that I bought back.
yeah, he's talking about buying leather chaps in a previous conversation, and just now he's talking about
I
his
thought they
belly
were
button
combats.
piercing and
I bought them in a shop
it's
as
a
it was
con- it's a
closing. I
concern.
thought they were combats.
I have such an image of you now,
And
just
I
with
would
your
look at
leather
them.
visors
Don't
and-
indulge that
And
image.
I stuck them on.
It's very dark.
And they were very much leather chaps that squeaked when you walked.
Oh, yeah.
And years later, in a bar, my sister-in-law was chatting to a fella, and she says, "Oh, he grew up in your street." And he went, "Paddy PVC."
No.
And I was like, "Why you call me Paddy PVC?" He says, "We all call Jack. You should run about in a pair of leather chaps." I was like, "I wore them once."
Once was
Once,
enough,
yeah.
let's be honest.
But yeah, my credibility is just tanked.
Paddy PVC.
Paddy PVC.
Paddy PVC,
That's gonna be another
the-
character.
The gentleman debagger.
Totally. The
Well,
gentleman.
you weren't getting debagged anyway, that's for sure.
No, not with the
Maybe
leather
why.
chaps on.
It's
They're
quite difficult.
sturdy. They're going nowhere.
That's maybe, yeah. And at the end of every party, Paddy has this idea that somebody will walk in and ruin the ambience and
Yeah,
the vibe.
I was kind of thinking like what happens at everyone's parties, and really there's always like if you're at home and you've got your family there, your granny would always ruin it by bringing up who's just died.
Oh, yeah.
So this is called Guess Who is Dead. Guess Who's Dead.
And
So
I don't really want to do the people that are dead around because
So it's who died near your birthday,
it's
basically.
quite-
Who would
it's kind
they
of
have come
upsetting.
in 2004, man? Guess who's dead? And then you'll have to guess at the party. I don't know, is it? And so who a celebrity?
They get
who
clues,
died?
or do I just have to
no,
remember who died?
Yeah,
I don't want to
do you
do
not
the
remember?
people that
Yeah,
I don't want
hang
to
on,
do
get my wee
people that
book of dead
actually die
people.
quite near because it's quite upsetting. I was trying to look for more fun death.
Fun deaths, if there's such a thing.
No,
Good luck with that.
Well, this is no death is fun. It's kind of weird to sort of having to clarify this. But there was a hip hop legend died very close to your birthday in 2004, an absolute superstar of the genre. I went on my 40th birthday to Brooklyn, and there was huge, beautiful murals of this. Sadly, very young.
2004.
2004.
Yeah,
Very cool, very credible. I mean, it's probably talking to the wrong two people here to be
Yeah, I know you really.
I'm just like, I only know of
Albert
Tupac,
and Britney
Tupac
Spears
and
over
Biggie,
here.
and that's it.
Yeah,
Eminem probably is sort of begins and ends for you guys.
Yeah, that's it.
But yeah, from the Wu-Tang Clan.
Ghostface Killah, he didn't
No,
die,
there's only was one that's dead. ODB.
ODB died.
So you didn't even know he was dead.
Old dirty bastard's dead.
He died in 2004.
Oh.
Yeah, he died in 2004.
I'm shocked I didn't cancel my birthday over that.
Who was it that was doing the sort of like Redman? He collaborated
Don't
with
pretend
like
you know
Offspring.
anything
I
about
have
I do know.
absolutely
Redman collaborated with
no
Offspring and
clue.
stuff. But yeah, ODB. But
Do you know who
Like the
ODB is?
ODB was
Offspring.
in
No.
So ODB did
Ghetto Superstar was he in?
No. But the biggest sort of thing that he did was "Baby, I Got Your Money."
Yeah.
Don't we said, "Hey, Khalees."
I do know some.
Do you know
Yeah,
that song?
I remember. Yeah.
So that's an ODB song. And there's a lot of very bold, rude language in that song as well, which I'll not repeat. And he was a bit of a maverick and a bit mad, and used to sort of, he used to be either in jail or on maybe on parole or whatever, and escape and go on to gigs in Brooklyn. And died in 2004.
Wow.
But the funny thing about that is I like to imagine Paddy's granny rocking in and go, guess who's
Yeah,
dead?
Yes,
that's what I was
he's
thinking.
Old
Is it-
dirty
is it his
bastard.
granny be like, did you hear?
He's my
ODB?
favourite of the Wu-Tang Clan.
I'm sure he doesn't know anything. He pretends he likes hip hop. You're not an OG like me, or old granny.
I'm sure my granny's
ODB.
told me about plenty of dead ODBs, but no,
Yeah,
it's,
she knows
not one
plenty
of
old dirty bastards.
Speaking of death, in 2004...
this is cheery.
No, this is a wee bit better. In 2004, two legendary sitcoms both ended, so I'm interested to know which you maybe missed the most. Friends and Frasier, both so they had their last episodes
It's a lot of white people, isn't it?
in
Yeah,
2004.
isn't it? Yeah, they were killing it off. I miss Frasier more, but that was again playing into the thing of I think I laughed at everything, but only got like about half of the jokes in Frasier because it was a bit more, sort of.
So
cerebral.
now when they're replayed at the minute, you're
I
actually
get
getting
less.
some of
I
the
get less.
Yeah.
No, yeah, do you when you rewatch it? Because I was only like,
Yeah.
2004 I was 22 by then, so most of Frasier had been on from when I was, quite young. So yeah, I laughed at a lot of it because it had to laugh. The audience on it, you knew when to laugh.
Yeah, which is
So it
helpful.
was kind of like laughing along, but no, I did. But I loved it. Friends, towards the end, I didn't really like Friends too much.
No, you see, the thing about both Friends and Frasier is you can't really miss either of them because they haven't gone away.
Frasier Triple Bill every single
Every
morning.
morning.
Every morning
Yeah.
I watch Frasier Triple Bill.
But you wouldn't know that because you're obviously watching BBC Breakfast. So.
Yes.
Got to keep on brand.
No,
Well,
really.
in fairness, I watch. What I do, Holly, is watch on Channel 4+1.
I see.
So once
You
I've
win.
had my
very
fill
good.
of you and your pals, then I watch my Frasier Triple Bill. I've seen every episode of Frasier and every episode of Friends. I would imagine maybe 15, 20 times.
But you know
At
what
least, maybe more.
Wow.
Do you know what I love? Now, it would never happen with Friends because I think I've seen every episode a million times, but occasionally
Yeah, you
with
pick
Frasier.
one up with Frasier where you
Oh,
haven't
no
seen
way.
it.
For me, it's like
Oh, no.
I would occasionally I'd see an episode of Frasier and go, I've maybe missed this on the cycle because the cycle lasts whatever it is, sort of 3 or 4 months, and then they just go right
Yeah,
back
yeah,
to the
they go
start.
back to the start.
So maybe I've missed the last couple of times. So maybe I've not seen it in maybe 6 months. That's the best I can hope for.
No, I don't think I've got that sort of affiliation with Frasier. No, I actually, in fact, the other day I think I watched one for the first time, and I was.
What was it? What was it? What was happening?
It was one where what was he doing?
I was talking to a friend of mine, and they said, "Oh, I was watching an episode of Frasier." Like, "Oh, which one was it?" And he goes, "Oh, Frasier got himself into this
I was
bad
just gonna
situation
say
with
it
this
with
woman."
the-
And so
with
I
the
was like,
woman.
You're
That's what I
describing
was gonna
sitcoms,
say.
basically.
"No, that's
No,
it's
do you know-
every episode of every sitcom ever."
Do you know where it was? It's around about the time when what do you call the brother?
Niles.
Niles, look at you. You're like offended that I don't know that
Yeah,
straight
I
away. He's
am
like
very
actually
offended.
annoyed. Niles and Daphne are just starting to get.
Yeah.
They're just together. They've just broken up with their other partners,
Yeah.
and it's that awkward.
And they're in
bit.
secret?
No, they're out now. But
Okay.
yes, but Niles is still having to pretend that he's the husband of
Oh, of Mel.
Mel. Now you forgot there. Yes, and yeah, it was somewhere
So
in
he
that.
has to go out and go to sort of functions
Yes,
with
and
them
the
stuff
engagement party and that sort of thing. So it wasn't the engagement party one; it was one I think shortly after that, and I hadn't seen it before, and I was very excited.
I was quite proud of myself when I was flying out to London a few weeks back, and I took a picture of the Samson and Goliath cranes in Harlan the
Has
Wolf,
to be done.
and I used the caption and said the two most iconic cranes since Niles and
like
Fraser.
that.
You know, I was like, and I like the idea that that Nigel would want to rename them. You know, Fraser and Niles.
Yeah, Fraser like that.
That would be his take. I was a big Friends fan in the sort of early days whenever it used to be on Channel 4. Friday nights were brilliant because you had Friends and then think Frasier after it usually as well, and it was kind of like sort of escapism, American kind of. But I didn't like when Friends towards the end started going. It like went to London and all. Do you remember there was episodes in London? It got a wee bit.
Basically, there's an entire series of Friends that should just get rid of it, and it's when Rachel and Joey get together. That whole thing.
That's it.
I don't know what they were thinking.
jumped the shark a wee bit
it was, and then they clearly realized it, which was and in one episode just went, yeah, no, we're just gonna put the brakes on this, yeah. And it was like no explanation other than we don't fancy each other anymore, so we're just gonna go back to where we were.
They say, oh, we're
Let's
too
forget
good.
about it.
We're too friendly.
We're
to
too
go at each
friendly,
other.
yeah, that's it. And yeah, it was just. I mean, in reality, would you then still be best friends? It would be so
I
awkward.
wonder was that before or after they started going to London and doing all that stuff? Because I thought that's when it got a wee bit sort of full of itself.
It was then. It
you
was
know.
about then.
Aye.
What's the
It was
problem
like
with them going to London? They went to London for one of
taking
those.
it on tour, and it was all like it was all
Fergie,
about the
wasn't it?
cameos. There's another episode, there's another
Richard
show.
Branson's in it.
It's like The Simpsons, but quite lately it became more about the cameos that were in it and who it was, as opposed to just But it's like when I remember when the EastEnders went to Ireland. Do you remember this?
No.
Do you remember this? No.
No.
I had to look it up the other week. 1996
Did I dream
or
this?
7. There was 2 episodes where they went to Ireland, where the Fowlers had found that some family member they had back in Ireland. They came from, and they all went, and it was a big deal. And they actually did come and film it on location down at RT Studios, and it caused an absolute cultural outrage because they were so stereotypical about like it was really bad. I thought there'd be a bit of it, but
It's just offensive.
like in the opening episode when they went in, they walked in and everybody was drunk in the bar, and just like during the day they arrived like on a
You
Tuesday
never
afternoon.
found that in Ireland.
I know, but like on a Tuesday afternoon, like there was just people, and like one of them got punched and all, and they were just slurring their words. And then whenever they says, "Oh, well, we know who you're looking, the relative, let's go to his house," they went into his house, and there was like donkeys and ponies walking through the
Are you talking about EastEnders, by the way?
EastEnders, yeah.
So, like, literally, when The
1997.
Simpsons did this, it's exactly the same.
But they're doing it for
Exactly the
comedy.
same.
EastEnders weren't doing it for comedy. EastEnders were like, this is what it's like. And it like they had to make an apology. There had to be an apology from like the ambassador, the British ambassador in Ireland and all, about how bad it was. Yeah. I remember watching
remember
it.
this.
I was like, this
I
is
don't
so
remember this
far fetched.
either.
I almost fell off my horse watching it in the living room.
You fell off your donkey because
This is fucking
with your whiskey in your hand.
woeful.
He
But
doesn't
yeah.
remember because he was pissed.
But then they went and like 2 of the people, the characters from that whole sort of setup, went back to Albert Square and were then featured in Albert Square for a good while, and they were like called scabs because they were like you were part of that episode that trounced all the Irish, so they kind of like were dissing their people.
Who were the characters?
It was the girl with the short hair who actually died recently. It's very morbid. This is
I know,
turning into
I
Guess Who's
know.
Dead. Yeah, she died recently. I just saw that's kind of what prompted me to realize I remember that episode.
I can't show any emotion because the girl with the short hair gave me nothing as to who it was.
Yeah, that's
She had
quite
tight
fake.
hair. She remind you almost of Dolores O'Riordan from the Cranberries. She was very
Another
you know her.
person who's
You've got a wee
tragically
picture.
dead.
No, Jesus. I have to move off that. But yeah, I'll show you a picture after. You would remember. She was actually a really good character in it.
Paddy only remembers people who are dead. Jeff Meldevo, that
Yeah.
actors.
How many people
The
we
kiss
killed
of
off
death.
in this?
Any
so
bastard
Looks
far?
like
I
Dolores
remember.
O'Riordan. Like, could have picked
gonna
anybody
get
else in the world.
Alba's
but-
going to get it soon. That's it.
Don't kill off ABBA.
No, well, I've mentioned them, so
Oh, right, okay.
this is going to be.
Before we let you both go, like I'm the one that's letting you both go.
The
Thanks,
door is
Richard.
actually
Yeah.
locked.
In conclusion, was 2004 a good year culturally? I'm going to say absolutely not.
I knew you were going to say that.
It's been, and I'm not a snob about music or culture or anything, but the fact that those 2 songs, Fuck You and Fuck You Right Back, whatever they're called, were in the top 10, and the rest of the top 10 is all awful greatest hits, and poor ODB lost his life, and
Hang on, we can't write off 2004 because ODB died.
well, it's one of the many things, and
Sure.
I
Related to him, yeah.
and I still don't really know who Lamar is, and the music was appalling, and even the movies are pretty bad.
This our guest
This is
year.
like,
This is
the
like
most, like-
it's like Room 101. It's going in the bin.
I
We're
know,
gonna
for the
delete
whole
your
year of my life.
No, I'm not dissing you.
I mean, now don't get me wrong. In terms of it being culturally, I don't think we'll ever look back and long for that time and that era of music again. I mean, I went out wearing stiletto shoes with leg warmers over them, and I mean that is not.
And it wasn't a theme night. This
no,
was just.
this was just
Wow.
like for a night out.
You should
But
do that on next time full length BBC breakfast. It just cuts to you and you've got stilettos and leg warmers on.
honestly, the stuff I wore, I mean, it's just. But we all thought that when you're young. You look back and go, why?
I had hair back
why?
then and was like, gelling it like within an inch of its life and going out to clubs. And I remember that was for the first time I wore like short sleeved shirts, and that's all I wore was a combination of short sleeve shirts and like sort of combat-y kind of jeans. I was still hanging on to the combats at that stage. Not a good time.
I remember the combats, the All Saints era. But there was also a thing around that time that Playboy was like a big thing. Like not that
For women?
yeah,
like the
the
logo.
logo. And like I
bootcut
was
jeans
like,
were big then. Sorry, I'm just remembering bootcut jeans for
Yeah.
fellas were all the rage.
oh
big
yeah,
sort of
I mean,
flare-out.
you go to some places and still very much
Where Connor's from.
Yeah.
Jonesboro are still
brown shoes.
in the bootcut era. They're talking about the they're talking about the wardrobe
Careful,
malfunction.
Everybody just
Not say I love
Take it easy.
Jonesboro. I am very fond of your market. I frequent it quite often.
wrap it up.
Yeah, just before we get yeah, just cut it there. Well, thanks very much for coming in. I've really enjoyed going back to 2004. Hopefully you have too.
I have.